You are listening to the Alex Cardinale Talk Show. This is a talk show unlike any other. You can expect the unexpected. This talk show promises to be entertaining, informal, unique, unorthodox, and sometimes might even get controversial. What is on the agenda today? Whether it's WWE Pro Wrestling, cooking, or baking, sports, a special guest, or just plain nonsense, you're in for a good show. Now from his home studios in West Palm Beach, Florida, is your host, the one and only Alex Cardinale.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Alex Cardinale Talk Show, right here on Spreaker. I'm your host, Alex Cardinale. Thank you so much for having me here on Spreaker. I'm a long-time veteran in podcasting. I've hosted many successful podcasts on Blog Talk Radio and Buzzsprout, and I'm glad to be a part of Spreaker with my talk show, The Alex Cardinale Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my first episode of The Alex Cardinale Show. I hope you enjoy it, I hope you like it, and I hope you become a fan of my talk show. I love podcasting. I've been podcasting for 7 years or so, and I love being able to share my voice with the world. I have done successful cooking and tropical fish shows, and now I'm going to try my hand with talk shows here on Spreaker. So I'd like to say thank you to my good friend Christopher Todd Williams for introducing me to Spreaker. I love the format that they have for recording shows, really simple, and I can do live shows if I want to as well. So I have a whole new audience that's going to meet me, so I'm really excited about that, and I hope you guys enjoy my show. Now, the Alex Cardinale Show is going to be similar to a TV talk show. It's not going to be the same thing as a TV talk show. It's going to be very similar. This is going to be a weekly show where I will release a pre-recorded or I will host an episode live on the air once or twice weekly. This is going to be a talk show. I will have certain topics to discuss. I will interview special guests, and I cannot wait to have guests here on my show. They'll have various topics that they'll bring with them. I'd like to interview chefs. I'd like to interview firefighters. I'd like to interview doctors, etc. So we'll see what happens. I'll chat WWE wrestling because I'm a longtime wrestling fan, and I find that wrestling is a very interesting topic to talk about. I'm going to talk about sports because I'm a sports fan. I'm going to share the latest news and current events. I'm going to be doing plenty of cooking and baking shows because I am a former chef and I like to cook and bake. It's a big passion of mine. So we'll have plenty of cooking and baking shows and so much more here on the Alex Cardinale Talk Show. So you can expect the unexpected here on this episode and every episode of the Alex Cardinale Talk Show. Alright, so on my debut episode today, you're going to learn about me as a person. You're going to learn about the host of this show, me, Alex Cardinale. You'll find out about my personal favorite hobbies, and you'll learn about me as a whole, as a person. Then I'm going to talk about a current event that's happening right now that has the world shocked. It has everybody quarantining in their homes and everyone panicking. And that is COVID-19. I'm going to share some important general information on COVID-19. And then I'm going to talk about the pandemic. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about how I like living in Florida so far. Many of you may know or may not know that I used to live in Massachusetts for a majority of my year. And last August 1st, 2019, I recently moved back to Florida. This time I moved to West Palm Beach, Florida. And I'm going to tell you guys how I like living in South Florida so far. So that's the show for today. Hopefully you guys will enjoy today's show. Now, let's go ahead and start the show. I'm going to start the show by giving you some information about me, Alex Cardinale. Well, first and foremost, I am 26 years old. And for a majority of my life, I lived in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I attended Springfield Public Schools. I graduated high school in 2013, and for high school, I did a vocational high school where I studied culinary arts, and that's how I learned to cook professionally and worked in a couple of restaurants. That was very fun. So I'll be turning 27 years old on August 15th this year, and I'm looking forward to that. One of my biggest passions and loves of life and one of my biggest hobbies is tropical fish keeping. I love aquariums. So I am a tropical fish keeper by heart. I was born a tropical fish keeper because my dad was keeping fish way before I was born. So fish keeping was in my blood per se. So I love tropical fish, and hopefully it's a tradition that I can pass down to my next generation of family. Now, as I said in my intro, I love to cook and bake, and I am a former chef. So I do cook and bake very often. I like cooking Italian dishes. I like making pastries. I like baking. So I did culinary arts in high school, and then I went to culinary school after that. So I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to cooking and baking, and I can't wait to share it with you here on the Alex Cardinale Talk Show. I also have a cooking YouTube channel. I do cooking and baking videos with my good friend, Paul Aramouni, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out. I have a chicken parmesan video. I have a red velvet cheesecake brownie video. I have a ribeye steak and lasagna video up right now, so go check it out. In the Kitchen with Alex Cardinale on YouTube. And I also have a tropical fish keeping YouTube called Alex's Aquariums. So go check that out. I am a WWE wrestling fan. I've been a lifelong WWE wrestling fan. Some of my favorite wrestlers are Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Triple H, Sting, Big Show, Kane, Chris Jericho, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and of course, Goldberg. I'm a New York Yankees fan. I've been a lifelong New York Yankees fan, and I'm really excited to baseball returning this season. Hopefully it'll start soon. I hope the Yankees win the World Series this year. I have a strong feeling that the Yankees will indeed win the World Series this year. And one team I'm really proud of, and one team I'm really happy representing, and one team I'm really happy to be a fan of, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm a lifelong Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. I first became a fan of them when I first lived here in Florida, and that was 2002 when I lived outside of Tampa, Zephyr Hills, Florida to be exact. And that's when I first started loving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, I'm really happy that the Tampa Bay Bucs got Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. I think now that could bring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Super Bowl. That'll be interesting. I'll definitely be talking about the Yankees and the Buccaneers here on this podcast, the Alex Cardinale Talk Show. So as I said earlier in my intro, I am a podcast veteran of 7 years. I've been podcasting since 2013. I've hosted successful podcasts. The first successful podcast I hosted was called Chef Cardinale Cooking Show. Do a Google search on that podcast. That podcast is still out there today, and it has a lot of listens. It's still doing great, so check that out, the Chef Cardinale Cooking Show. Then I did the Aquatic Wetline, which is very successful. Now the Aquatic Wetline is known as Aquarium Hobbyist Podcast, and that is hosted on Blog Talk Radio. But my hopes is it will move over here to Spreaker. Maybe I'll bring my Tropical Fish Keeping Podcast to Spreaker as well. We'll see what the future holds. But Aquarium Hobbyist Podcast is my second podcast. It is my flagship show for now. And it's getting ready to host its 500th episode. Really excited about that. Saturday, May 30th, 2020, I'll be hosting my 500th episode of Aquarium Hobbyist Podcast. It's going to be a big celebration. Now, I'm a kind, caring person with a huge heart. Once you get to know me, you will see that. And the last thing you should know about me is that I am very unorthodox. I do things my way, and that's the only way, in my personal opinion. So that's some information on me as a person. Now I'm going to give you some information on what's going on in the world right now, and that is coronavirus, COVID-19. COVID-19 is caused by a coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. Older adults and people who have severe underlying medical conditions like heart or lung disease or diabetes seem to be at a higher risk for developing more serious complications from COVID-19 illness. How it spreads. It is spread mainly from person to person, mainly through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouth or noses of people who are nearby or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. Spread is more likely when people are in close contact with one another within about 6 feet. It may be possible that a person can get COVID-19 by touching a surface or object that has the virus on it and then touching their own mouth, nose, or possibly their eyes. This is not thought to be the main way the virus spreads, but we are still learning more about this virus. The virus that causes COVID-19 is spreading very easily and sustainably between people. Information from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic suggests that this virus is spreading more efficiently than the flu, but not as efficiently as measles, which is highly contagious. What is the recovery time for the coronavirus disease? Using available preliminary data, the median time from onset to clinical recovery for mild cases is approximately 2 weeks and is 3 to 6 weeks for patients with severe or critical disease. What should you do if you have the coronavirus? Stay home. Most people with COVID-19 have mild illness and are able to recover at home without medical care. Do not leave your home except to get medical care. Do not visit public areas because you don't want to get other people sick. Stay in touch with your doctor. Call before you get medical care. Be sure to get care if you have trouble breathing or have any other emergency warning signs, or if you think it is an emergency. Avoid public transportation. Avoid using public transportation, ride sharing, or taxis. Stay away from others. As much as possible, stay away from others. You should stay in a specific sick room, if possible, and away from other people in your home. Use a separate bathroom if available. Is headache a symptom of the coronavirus disease? The virus can cause a range of symptoms ranging from mild illness to pneumonia. Symptoms of the disease are fever, cough, sore throat, and headaches. Now here's a question that everybody is wondering. Are masks effective against the coronavirus disease? In light of this new evidence, CDC recommends wearing cloth face coverings in public settings where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain. Examples, grocery stores and pharmacies, especially in areas of significant community-based transmission. Can you have the coronavirus disease without a fever? The signs and symptoms of COVID-19 present an illness onset vary, but over the course of the disease, most persons with COVID-19 will experience the following: fever, 83 to 99%, cough, 59 to 82%, fatigue, 44 to 70%, anorexia, 40 to 84%, shortness of breath, 31 to 40%, spud tone production, 28 to 33%, and mileages, 11 to 35%. Atypical presentations have been described, and older adults and persons with medical comorbidities may have delayed presentation of fever and respiratory symptoms. Is bleach an effective cleaning agent for the coronavirus disease? Unexpired household bleach will be effective against coronaviruses when properly diluted. Prepare a bleach solution by mixing 5 tablespoons, which is a third of a cup, bleach per gallon of water. Is the coronavirus disease more severe than the flu? Coronavirus disease causes more severe disease than the seasonal flu. While many people globally have built up immunity to seasonal flu strains, COVID-19 is a new virus which no one has immunity. This means more people are susceptible to infection and some will suffer severe disease. Globally, about 3.4% of the reported COVID-19 cases have died. By comparison, seasonal flu generally kills far fewer than 1% of those infected. Who is at risk for coronavirus? The virus that causes COVID-19 affects people of all ages. However, evidence to date suggests that 2 groups of people are at a higher risk of getting severe COVID-19 disease. These are older people, that is people over 60 years old, and those with underlying medical conditions such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, and cancer. The risk of severe disease gradually increases with age, starting from around 40 years. It's important that adults in this age range protect themselves and in turn protect others that may be more vulnerable. WHO has issued advice for these 2 groups and for community support to ensure that they are protected from COVID-19 without being isolated, stigmatized, left in a position of increased vulnerability, or unable to access basic provisions and social care. What is a pandemic? A pandemic is a global outbreak of disease. Pandemics happen when a new virus emerges to infect people and can spread between people sustainably. Because there is little to no pre-existing immunity against a new virus, it spreads worldwide. The virus that causes COVID-19 is infecting people and spreading easily from person to person. Cases have been detected in most countries worldwide, and community spread is being detected in a growing number of countries. On March 11th, the COVID-19 outbreak was characterized as a pandemic by the WHO. Okay, so right now I'm going to share my thoughts on the whole COVID-19 and pandemic situation. A lot of people's plans in 2020 have been disturbed by COVID-19. A lot of people can't have their weddings. I know someone specifically who cannot have a wedding this year because of COVID-19. That's terrible. I could never imagine that happening to me. Birthday parties have been ruined. I mean, you have to have a birthday party on Facebook, video, or Skype, or a virtual birthday party. Easter was ruined this year. A lot of people couldn't have family members come over because of COVID-19. Graduations are going to be a lot different this year. I feel bad for people who are graduating. I feel bad for the class of 2020 because they're not going to be able to have a prom or a graduation. They're going to have a virtual graduation, which is the first of its kind. They'll have that to say, but it's really hard to imagine being a senior this year because of not being able to have all the fun things that go with graduation. So this is a real difficult time, but like always, I think America is going to rebound stronger from this. We've rebounded from 9/11. We've rebounded from the Depression. We're going to rebound from COVID-19 stronger and better than ever. However, I think COVID-19 is something that we can all learn from because life is never going to be the same after COVID-19. We will never be able to return to normal, but it's going to teach us how to be different and adjust to life in a different style. Change is something that is always good. I'm a big firm believer in change, so I think this is actually a good thing. Now, a lot of people are doing things they should not be doing during this pandemic. People are still having social gatherings of over 10 people or more. People are still going out without face masks. People are still doing things that could potentially cause another outbreak of coronavirus. I've seen on Facebook people hosting gatherings for celebrations of whatever kind. I've seen people hold up churches, things like that. So we need to be very careful during this pandemic. The first thing I should say to people for this pandemic is stay home, people. Don't be going out to social gatherings or parties because you could expose yourself to COVID-19 and possibly someone who is high risk. Would you like it if your grandmother who has diabetes, for example, if you come home with COVID-19 and she gets it, would you like that? I don't think so. So stay home, people. Only go out to grocery stores to get groceries or go to a restaurant to get food. And when you do go out, wear masks. Wearing masks is very important. I've gone to the store several times and seen a lot of people not wearing masks. I don't know why they're not wearing masks. Maybe they're just being selfish. So don't be selfish. Wear a mask. If you feel sick, don't go to work. That's very important because if you feel sick, there's a chance that you have the coronavirus and you could expose those around you and get them sick as well. I've been on a medical leave of absence for a while. I don't have any symptoms. I wasn't sick, but I was afraid of getting the disease. So I took a leave of absence. But now that the state is slowly reopening, I'll be returning to work shortly. And the last thing I want to say about the COVID-19 is I hope life goes back to normal soon, somehow. It's going to be different, but hopefully we'll have a life again, and we'll be able to hang out with our friends and do things. I miss Major League Baseball. I miss seeing fans in WWE. I miss hanging out with friends. I miss a lot of things. So hopefully that will come back in time. The last thing I want to say is I want a summer this year. I want a 4th of July, and I want to celebrate my 27th birthday. I'll take it any way I can get it, but I definitely want it to happen. So that's my thoughts on COVID-19 and my thoughts on the pandemic. You guys are welcome to share your thoughts on COVID-19 and your thoughts on the pandemic by liking our Facebook page, the Alex Cardinale Talk Show, and then comment on my Facebook page, the Alex Cardinale Talk Show, your thoughts on COVID-19 and the pandemic. Alright, so August 1st of 2019, I moved right here, West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm loving it so far here in West Palm Beach, Florida. We have great weather year-round. It is absolutely beautiful. I don't have to deal with cold, freezing winters or snow anymore or chilly fall or any of that Massachusetts weather anymore. Now I get nice, cool, spring-like wet winter here in Florida. Then I get a nice, cool spring and a warm spring, a warm, hot summer, and a warm fall. I love the weather here. It is absolutely beautiful. The weather is the first thing that I would say I really enjoy in Florida. Second would be people. People are a lot nicer down here in Florida than they are in Massachusetts, in my personal opinion and my personal experience. I've made a lot of friends here in Florida. Many, many awesome, great friends. But I've also made one best friend here in Florida, and that person works at the store that I work at. So, a lot of great people here in Florida. There's a lot of great things to do here in Florida. We've got Universal Studios, Walt Disney World, golf clubs, bowling, lots of great restaurants like the Cheesecake Factory. I love the Cheesecake Factory. For those of you who are wondering what my favorite restaurant is, it's the Cheesecake Factory. And I didn't have that in Massachusetts, so I'm ecstatic to have it here in Florida. But we have other great restaurants, such as BJ's as well, which is similar to a 99. What else is there? Tropical fish are really popular down here. There's a lot of great fish stores here in Florida, so I'm very excited about that. And also, it was very easy for me to get a job here in Florida. That was something that I really value. So far, I am really enjoying Florida. Right now, I work as a service clerk at Publix, which means basically I'm a bagger. I bag your groceries, I carry them out to your car, and I give you customer service. That's basically the gist of my job as a service clerk at Publix. I'm currently working on becoming a cashier. I really want to become a cashier. That is my ultimate goal because I cashiered at my previous job in Massachusetts. Actually, I did all the customer service stuff in Massachusetts in my old job. I bagged, I did Instacart, I cashiered, and then I would help out at the customer service desk. Here at Publix so far, I'm only doing bagging and taking out groceries and Instacart orders. So hopefully now I can add cashiering at Publix to my resume. That would be pretty interesting as well. So, if you are a listener from the West Palm Beach area, I definitely would love to meet you at Publix, Village Commons, Village Boulevard. That's where I work, and it would be awesome to meet some listeners. So, that's how I like Florida so far. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is I promised my friend I'd give him a promotion. Now, my friend Paul Aramouni is an up-and-coming author and a successful YouTuber. He has a wonderful YouTube channel. But I want to tell you about his book first because his book is amazing. It's a murder mystery book. It's called The Truth of the Unknown Intrepreter. And it has a lot of great mystery in it, a lot of great action. If you love horror stories and you love reading, this book is for you. I definitely recommend you go out and purchase a copy of this book because you're going to like it. I loved it. I read it from chapter 1 all the way to the end, and I'm reading it again. That's how much I like it. Really good book. I definitely recommend it, especially if you love thrillers. There's a lot of moments in this book where you want to keep reading, and then you forget where you are because you've read so much. Then you forget that you've already read the book and you want to keep reading again. So it's a really good book, and I think you're going to like it. So I'm going to leave the link in the description of today's episode to where you can purchase the book, and I will leave more information on the book I'll leave more information about the book in the description as well. That's what I was trying to say. The book is so good I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'm going to read to you a little bit of a description for this book. The Truth of an Unknown Interpreter is an intriguing fictional story with some elements of a real-life experience. A young man who is hard of hearing moves from his home country to live in a state in the United States. He wishes to get assimilated to the hearing world, but needs an interpreter to enable him to communicate effectively to others and understand what is being taught in class. His first experience with interpreters was not good, but when he moved to the United States, he met a nice interpreter who he grew to like. Unluckily, this interpreter goes missing and is later found dead under mysterious circumstances. The young man gets another interpreter who turns out to be his worst nightmare. It turns out that this interpreter is involved in an evil cult which offers human beings for sacrifices. And this is an amazing book, and I definitely recommend you check it out. Again, the link is in the description of today's episode. Also, check out his YouTube, Paul Aramouni Vlogs. Lots of great videos there. He does story time videos where he tells fictional stories and non-fictional stories as well. He has a lot of prank videos coming up. That's very exciting. He also has a lot of gaming videos, a lot of great videos, but the videos that I love the most are the videos that I do with him. And those are the cooking and baking videos he has on his channel. We've done a red velvet cheesecake brownie. We've done a chicken parmesan. We've done a ribeye steak and lasagna video. And I'm also appearing in many other videos I've appeared in as well. So you can see me in a lot of videos on his channel as well. Paul Aramouni Vlogs on YouTube. Also check out my 2 YouTube channels, In the Kitchen with Alex Cardinale. And then of course, there is Alex's Aquariums. Well, that's our first episode. I hope you enjoyed our episode tonight. I really had a great time recording my first talk show, and I hope you guys had a great time listening. We will be on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and all the podcast platforms by next week. So you can follow me on those platforms, but I recommend you follow me here on Spreaker as well. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to the Alex Cardinale Show. I'll see you on the next episode. Good night, everybody, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Alex Cardinale Show. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please like our Facebook page, The Alex Cardinale Show, for show news, updates, episode releases, and more. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.